all this else. Winter is hard. Winter is hard at my house because depression comes knocking hard at my house. And so I have been working through a spouse that has not been able to touch me physically or to be able to kind of really engage with me emotionally for months. Like, and I don't mean 4 months, but I just mean like for an extended period of time over months, there's been a disconnect, there's been a wall. And so like the person that in theory I would be able to go to and get support and encouragement and to tell me I'm valuable and to tell me that my instincts are correct and to tell me that I am putting in good effort and I am doing good things, that person was not there and couldn't even touch me. Like, and then to top it all off, he had mono too. So like, he's dead tired, I'm dead tired, depression is in the mix, self-doubt is in the mix, impatience is in the mix. All of this stuff is just there. And my friend says, well, maybe you should ponder on the gifts that Heavenly Father promised you and that he offered you. And as I went back and I read the list, I was just mad. I was just so mad. And I just prayed and I said, I am so tired of waiting. And all of the things from all the years we've been married, from life in general, because my health does weird things like every 5 years, and there's not always an answer. It's just, you just slog through. And so I just had it out in the bathroom, and I was like, Heavenly Father, how long am I supposed to wait with my health to figure itself out? How long am I supposed to wait for this conversation to bear fruit? How long am I supposed to wait where my husband isn't even comfortable in the same room with me? How long am I supposed to wait for all of these pieces to come together? And even as I'm saying this, I can hear everybody say, well, Allison, you're not supposed to wait until XYZ happens. You're supposed to just choose to be joyful in the moment. Or I could hear, well, Allison, like, why are you taking this so personally? Like, your life is not that hard. It's not that bad. Like, you are supported. Things are happening. So, like, why are you complaining? And I heard, well, and Allison, like, just compare yourself to where other people at and other people have it worse. And so why are you feeling that way? Or where's your faith? Like, how come you aren't just going to trust in Heavenly Father's timing? And I just heard all of this stuff come crashing in. And I realized that two things were at play. And the two things that were at play were that I had stopped trusting that Heavenly Father had a plan. I was so busy hurting that I couldn't get the hugs when I needed them. I was so busy hurting because I was so tired of a body that just wasn't working. I was so busy thinking that things could have gone so much better and they hadn't, that I had missed what was. A few weeks ago, I put on Facebook that when we say that everything will be okay, we're not being trite, because Heavenly Father plays a long game. And so even if they're not good or okay right now, they will be. And in that moment of all of my anger, and in that moment of all of that frustration, and in that moment of being in the thick of it, I realized something very important. Doubt shows up in so many ways. Doubt made me think that it would never get better. Doubt made me think that today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day were all going to be the same, and there was nothing I could do about it. And that I would never have my husband back, that I would never have my health back, that things would never change at work. And I realized that that's what Satan wants us to feel. When I was sitting there shouting at the heavens that how come I have to wait for years for a husband that can show up for me, I was reminded that it's not always like that. In that moment, it feels like it. In that moment, shouting at the heavens, every one of those things was true together, all in that ball of blah, together at that moment. But that those things are not always true every minute of every day. And so Satan tries to get us so caught up and so stuck and so trapped in this idea that it's always going to be this way, so that doubt and fear and anger take over. And so if you are in a spot with your health or with a spouse or with a child or with any number of things that just feel so heavy, I invite you to remember that it won't forever be that way, and it's okay for it to hurt in the moment. But don't buy into Satan's lie that it's always going to be that way, because once you open up to him saying, oh, well, life just stinks and it's going to be that way for forever, doubt comes in and fear comes in and anger comes in. And there is no circumstance in life in which doubt, fear, or anger is going to make it better. It's just not. And that's what I realized, because what I ultimately had to do is let go of this idea that life was being unjust. Because that's what I was holding on to. In tallying up every one of those things that were happening, I had determined that life was unfair, and it was only ever unfair to me. But I would bet, if you've listened this far already, that you know that the very nature of mortality is to not feel fair. And the very nature of mortality is to bring out stuff and is to test us and is to try us. And so when those moments come, just remember that's happening to everybody. As soon as I was able to let go of, this is so unfair. And I don't mean that in a stereotypical way, because in that moment, it did feel so unfair. In that moment, it did feel so much more than I could bear. And in that moment, I wanted to kick, scream, shout, and yell. But it's just so powerful to then step back and realize that, okay, it's unfair, but it won't always be that way. Or yes, it's hard, but it won't. But Heavenly Father is not dooming me to that for forever, because tomorrow the next day was good. And today has been interesting. But we get to choose what each day is. And some days are going to be great days and some days are going to be hard days. But as long as you keep holding on that there will eventually be a good day, you give the Lord to give you good days. You give the Lord space to help brighten things up. And so I invite you to choose hope. I invite you to choose faith. I invite you to let go of that death grip on anger and frustration, and to accept that maybe other things are true too. Because it was only when I did that I found peace. And it was only when I did that and I took a step back that I realized that Heavenly Father had something so important and powerful for me. And He has things for me to learn, but I've got to be open to learning them. And I've got to be open to stuff being unfair, to stuff happening. And because when stuff is unfair and stuff is happening, then I reach for Him, and then He makes the other stuff okay. And I promise that He can. If you are having a hard time, I hope you'll reach out. We all need each other. And you'll join the support group called Lightening the Load. Happens Tuesdays, second Tuesdays, fourth Saturdays. Message me for details. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time on this road of, wow, that was weird, or that was hard. But there is hope that comes out of it too. Have a good day, guys. Bye.